My name is Vuyisani Sholo, and I would like to say thank you to Pastor Cecil, Pastor Estelle, the leadership of the church, for giving me this opportunity to stand here. Today I want to quickly talk about some holiday financial tips. Say holiday. Say holiday. Everyone is going on holiday. It's a holiday mode. It's a great time of the year where we enjoy with our families. And I thought, you know what, let me use this opportunity just to give some financial tips there so that as the children of God, as the people who are kingdom-minded, we don't turn January into January. You understand most the term January, where everyone is worried in January, while they had a great time here in December. And we're going to be reading from Proverbs chapter 21. The verse is verse 20. Can you read it with me, please, quickly? 1, 2, 3. The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Say to your neighbor, neighbor, don't be a fool. Don't say that, I'm joking. Yeah. All right, so I just wanted to quickly base that, since we are kingdom-minded people, whatever we do is backed up by the word of God. I just wanted to give just 4 financial tips, and then we'll go straight to worship. Tip number 1, budget for your spending. Say budget. Budget for your spending. What does that mean? I'm going to be moving very fast because I have less than 8 minutes now. So this information will be available on my website, www.ufwisdom.com. So if you want it, you can go there, you will get it, okay? So the first thing you want to do, you want to budget for your spending. Now, many people are asking, okay, V, we've heard about budgeting. We don't really like budgeting. And in this case, it's important that you do, because when you're budgeting, you are telling your money where to go and what to do. Is that okay? So that's why it's important. Now, if you don't know how to budget for your spending, you've never budgeted before, here are the 3 steps you can follow. Number 1, so as you're going out for a holiday, sit down, calculate how much do we have to spend for this holiday. Very important. Many people go out on a holiday, then when they reach Harding, they realize, oh, we don't have enough petrol to continue, so let's go back. So we want to avoid such situations. So you need to determine how much you have exactly. Step number 2, list all the items you may want to buy or the places you want to go. Very important. So if you know that I'm going out on a holiday, these are the places I'm going to visit, it's important that you list them. If you can, also list the prices or the cost associated with those areas. Obviously, when you go on a holiday, it's a very nice time spending. The spending thingy urge is there. We understand that. That's why you also want to have a room for spending. For certain things, maybe you didn't plan for, but you may be interested in getting. So please do get that. Did you get the third one? Let's go straight to the third one. Only spend on what you have planned. Only spend on what you have. I know the amen will be very small. I know, because we are talking something we don't want to hear. Now, only spend on what you have planned. Now, like I said, it happens that sometimes you see something, it interests you. That's why you need to make room for those spontaneous spending. It's important. But you must be able to stick to your budget. Did we get that? So those are the 3 steps you can follow in terms of budgeting. So tip number 1, it is budget for your spending. What is tip number 1? Come on, encourage me. It's very difficult to stand here. What is tip number 1? Budget for your spending. Tip number 2, adopt an income management system. Say income management system. Adopt an income management system. Now, in my book titled 10 Money Mistakes I Made That You Must Avoid, there's a chapter I speak about income management systems. But what I mean by this is that find a way to manage and steward the income that God has given you in a direction that will make sure that you don't worry in January. In other words, find a way that works for you. Now, if you've got an income management system that works for you, that's well and good, keep it. But if you're not sure, you can adopt any from that book that I've written. But I'm going to give you one because of time. If you go to the next slide, it's called 10-10-80. What is it called? What is it called? 10-10-80. What does that mean? It means you take 10% of your income, you give. You take 10%, you pay yourself, which is you save. and then you leave within 80%. So that's one way you could go about it, utilizing your bonuses in December. Okay? So that's one way you can go about. There's a lot of income management systems. Again, if you've got one that works for you, you don't have to change it. Okay? But if you're not sure, you can start with this one. Tip number 4. Oh, number 3. What does it say? Spend wisely. Spend wisely. Do you remember tip number 1? What was it? Budget for your spending. Number 2, adopt an income management system. Number 3, we're saying now you have to spend wisely. Okay? You have to spend wisely. Now, what do I mean by spending wisely? If you go to the next slide, you know that there are certain things you have to buy early so that you don't worry in January. That's an example of them. You know your kids are going to school in January. Why don't you buy that stationery now? Why don't you sort out that uniform now? So that by the time you come back in January, when everyone else is worried in January, you don't have to worry because your kids are catered for. If you've got school fees that you need to pay in January, why don't you take care of it now? If you can. That's wisdom. So prepare early, buy early. Number 2, another thing you can do is to prepare for January. You know, many people are, when they get to January, they are shocked. It's already January. As if we didn't know it's coming. Let me tell you the good news, the gospel from Christ. January is coming. Say, I receive. It is coming. Whether you believe it, whether you don't believe it, because God has created it that way. Pastor Cecil normally says that there's a time and a season for everything. And January is coming. So you need to prepare for January. You know that in January you have to go to work. So why don't you take a few cents and keep them for petrol or for transport or for traveling costs? That's called spending wisely. And let's go to the last one. Tip number 4, second to the last one. Avoid incurring any new debt. Now, this is a season of spending. The marketing guys are aware of that. The spending edge is high. So now what they will do, they will come to you and say, you know what, you can get this item and pay for it in March next year. It's marketing. What does that mean? That means in December they will bill you an interest. In January they will bill you an interest and not you don't have to pay it then. By the time you pay it in March, it has accumulated all the interest these months. So that's why it's important while you go out on holiday, avoid taking any new debts. Rather come up with a debt elimination plan where you can quickly deal with the debt that you currently have as compared to incurring any new debt. Are you learning something though? Just say to the person sitting next to you, say, Ish, I almost missed out on this, eh? Just tell them, say, I almost missed out on this one. Tip number 5, and the last tip, be generous. Now, this is the season of giving. It's a season of joy. We have to enjoy it with our families, but you need to remember that there are people who still want to enjoy it but cannot because of various situations. Now, God has given you something, an income. Why don't you just share it with those who cannot afford to be joyful? Now, I don't have much time, but I could dwell much on the power and the importance of giving. And one thing I can say right now is that no one, not even one person, has ever gone poor by giving. Even the guys that we look up to, Bo Pastor Cecil Kanje, Bo Patrice Mutsipe, Bo Banman, these are guys who give. And they are wealthy not because they do not give because they are wealthy. They are wealthy because they give. It's a principle. Can we quickly remind ourselves? Number 1, we said, what's the first tip? Budget for your spending. Number 2, adopt an income management system. Number 3, spend wisely. Number 4, say no to incurring any new debt. Number 5, be generous. Thank you.